is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and today I'm doing a no run-through review for Venom, which is one of the newest heroes to Marvel Champions at this point in time. Now, this is not the Venom that I would assume most people know. Apparently there is another one, which of course there is, and they chose to use the Flash Thompson version. I don't know the difference between the two, so I'm just going to be talking about how they play, and if it's not thematic enough, then I don't know. I guess this guy, he uses weapons, and apparently the Venom that I know never actually uses weapons. He's a symbiote, so he uses his symbiotic abilities. But yeah, Venom in this one does use a lot of weapons, and there is another hero that also does that, which would be Rocket. So they're different enough, I can say that, but ultimately I don't much care for this this hero pack. It's not bad. To be honest, I don't think any of the Marvel Champions are bad. There's just some that I prefer, obviously, more than others. Now, Flash, like I said, he uses guns, and his gimmick is that he can have additional restricted weapons, which, for me, was never really that big of a deal anyway. Like, being able to carry 2 restricted weapons, was always fine, but he has ways to carry more. So let's talk about his alter ego and his hero abilities, and then go over the cards in his deck. So the Flash Thompson, he has 4 recovery, which is pretty good. You can control 1 additional upgrade that has the restricted keyword, and he is armed and ready. During setup, you discard cards from the top of your deck until you find a card with the weapon keyword, and you add it to your hand. So his alter ego doesn't have an errant ability. It goes for setup. So we flip that over to Venom. This is a badass picture. I really like it. His stats are pretty good. He's not great in thwarting, but he does have ways around that. So he has 1 thwart, 2 attack, and 2 defense. Same thing. You can control 1 additional upgrade that has the restricted keyword, but he does have a symbiotic bond. This is a ability that I do like. It is you take a damage to generate a wild resource, limited only once per phase. So because I keep mentioning that he uses weapons, let's just go ahead and look at his weapons, which, there we go, which in his, and I always talk about their pre-built, which is, he has 5 of. And so if you play the correct cards, you can hold 4 of them. Now, the card that allows you to hold 4 of them is the side holster, which just says you can control 1 additional weapon that has a restricted keyword. So that goes off of his ability, so now he can have 4. So the 4 guns he has are 2 Venom's pistols, which are actually really good. I do like them. When you use 1 of Venom's basic powers, exhaust that pistol and you gain +1 to that power. So it's not just for attacking. If you want to defend, you can exhaust those to get 4 defense if you have both of them out. You can get 4 attack, or you can get up to 3 thwart. These are really versatile. I do like those quite a bit, and they're very cheap. They only cost 1, so essentially his ability allows you to take a damage to pay for 1. Then his other gun, and the only other gun that's in his deck that is his, is the multi-gun. This is also really good. Once again, restricted, so you're not at your limit yet. And even if you didn't have the side holster, then you could still hold basically his 3 weapons. But as a hero action, you can exhaust it to choose 1. You can deal 2 damage to an enemy. You can choose a player, deal 1 damage to each minion that is engaged with them, and or remove 2 threat from a scheme. So extremely versatile depending on what the situation is like. So these are his 3 weapons. The 2 that come in his pre-build that are restricted as well come from the basic, and he's built with justice. So I'm guessing he's like a soldier, he's like a cop. I don't know. I've never heard of Flash Thompson, so I'm sorry. But you have the Sonic Rifle, which has 2 charge counters, and as an action, it's not even an attack, so which is pretty nice. Same with his multi-gun. So what's great about that is because it doesn't say attack, you can actually bypass things like guard, which is really nice, or even patrol. because it doesn't say hero action, thwart, or attack, so it's just an action. But you can exhaust it, remove a charge counter, and choose an enemy to become confused. If they're already confused, then you deal 3 damage to them. And then, similar to, I think Gamora has this in her deck, the plasma pistol comes with 3 charges, and you exhaust it and you take a charge counter off and deal 1 damage to an enemy. These aren't super great. These are more versatile. He's kind of around that. He has cards that I'll show in his deck that are about like using specific, resources to do additional damage or additional effects, which I do like. I think that gives you some thought on more so than just understanding that your cards are also resources. You want to try and think about what's in your hand, but yeah, that's essentially it. He's generated around the restricted keyword, but the ones that come in his deck are just kind of these. I don't believe there's anything else that is in his deck that is restricted. So he has a lot of potential with the other types of decks, or with deck building, but straight out of the gate with his pre-built, I'm not a huge fan of. Now, so this would be that, but he does have some other cards. The rest are going to be his actual Venom deck, but one more is Scare Tactic. Is you just, as an attack, you just deal 3 damage to a confused enemy. So the Sonic Rifle can confuse them. You can do Scare Tactic to deal 3 damage immediately afterwards. Or if you want to use that again, then you could potentially do up to 6 damage with the Scare Tactic, which would be pretty scary. Actually, this is neat. It actually shows Rocket and Venom on the art. Okay, now let's look at some of his strategies. One upgrade that I very much enjoy is his Spider Sense, which is that. That is a hero interrupt. Whenever the villain attacks you, you just get to draw a card. Or when it initiates an attack against you, you just draw a card. So you could potentially top deck an interrupt, a cancel, or something like that, or just to have more cards in your hand for your next round is really nice. So that's really cool. His alter ego card is Project Rebirth 2.0, which also gives you some really cool options in alter ego form. One is you exhaust that, you can either draw a card or heal 3 damage, which is cool because his ability allows you to take damage to freely play cards, limited once per phase, but it also means that whenever you're in alter ego form, you could use that to heal instead of drawing a card, and draw a card, or heal for a little bit more, but with him, but draw a card. So I think this is nice to have, and it's also extremely cheap. Most of his cards are cheap, but I did find that the ones I really needed to use, I kind of didn't have the resources in my hand, because yes, getting a wild is nice, but only taking the damage for 1 wild, I wish you could use that more. I think he'd be really good if you could take 2 damage and get 2 wild resources. I also found that Venom was kind of like Hawkeye in that if he didn't have guns, he was pretty much useless. He does have a card, Locked and Loaded, that is free, and it lets you search your deck for a gun. So if you can get that, you can at least get something going, but you're still spending a card, and you still need the resources to be able to. So you pretty much are using this to find his Venom's pistol, taking the damage to at least get something out to do more damage. But he does have 1 card in his deck it's still pretty cheap. I mean, there are cards in here which, like Resourceful, which I don't find super useful. This is more of like a prepping for a later turn, because it costs 1 and you have to discard this to get a wild resource. However, it could be useful because then if you get Savage Attack, which costs 2. You can do the Resourceful if you had it prepped. Use his ability to deal 5 damage to an enemy. And if you pay, this is what I'm talking about, if you pay using only the Lightning Bolt, I don't remember what they called that in this game, but the Lightning Bolt, then it gains Overkill. So you do have ways to deal some damage, but that's on top of, if you have all your guns out as well. The wild resources, I can't remember if that counts. Like if you used his wild and you did the Resourceful, those are 2 wilds. Technically, those count as that if you're going off the wild. So then I would say that would get Surge. Dang it, Overkill. And then he has another one that he basically 2 of his cards use the 2 other resources. His Behind Enemy Lines, that's his threat removal. You can remove 3 threat from a scheme if you paid for this using the Science. Yeah, the blue resource. You can confuse an enemy. That's pretty good. So he has ways to, okay, well, I'm going to use this wild and this wild to pay for that. Remove some threat. Pretty good. And then, I'll tap Venom for another thwart and his pistols to just really wipe out. Or be like, I'm going to take some off the main scheme and then off of the side scheme. One of his really, really good cards that I very much enjoy is the Grasping Tendrils. This is, once again, a 2 cost. And if whenever the enemy attacks you, the villain attacks you, you just cancel it. You're just like, nope. And if you paid for this using only the fists, then you stun them. So he has ways to confuse and stun with a few of his cards, which is pretty nice. So he has decent defense, decent ways to thwart, but you kind of have to get him set up. And once he's set up, I still don't think he's like amazing. There's a lot of others like Iron Man. Whenever you get him set up, it's just like, oh, he's God tier. Whenever you have like Gamora or Doctor Strange, all these other characters, even Rocket. When you get Rocket going, he's just like popping off guns and like left and right. With Venom, because Rocket has ways to put charge counters back on his weapons. Venom doesn't. Once these weapons are gone, granted, the ones that are restricted that are his don't go away. Like, they're just, hey, these are here to use their abilities. But the other ones, they do have limited charges, and then they're just gone. So, it's, he's nice. Like, he has ways to do stuff, but you have to wait for them to come into your hand. If you're needing to do damage and all you have are Behind Enemy Lines and, like, Spider Sense and the Cancel, it's like, yeah, these are all good cards, but I need to do something on my turn. So, and then the one that's also really good, but this one costs the most, so you have to hope you have your Strength, your Genius, or your Strength, Genius, and your Energy. And then his ability is his Run and Gun. And he has a few of these in his deck, but this says Ready Venom and Ready every weapon that he controls. So this is where he can get really good. But once again, you're going to have to kind of have everything already set up. When I was playing him, I drew this and I had 1 gun. And it's like, Venom and, the plasma pistol isn't worth spending 3 resources to do 3 damage. Like, 2 from him, or actually it'd be 6 total, because if you attack. But then it's like, okay, ran out of charges with that, guess I'm back to my 2 damage. So, you really want to hold on to these, or hope you draw them after you get this build. So, with that being said, let's see if I can figure out the ways for him to have the best possible hand. So obviously you're gonna have to have, you're gonna have to have this setup. His 2 pistols. You're definitely gonna need a Run and Gun. You're gonna need, at most, I think you can hold 8 cards. I think you can hold up to 8 cards. No, because you'd have to be in defense. So I think 7, because the reason why I'm saying that is if you have Spider Sense out, which is when your upgrades and the villain attacks you, you draw a card. So you'd have your 5. So you'd have 6 cards, and then nope, I think you're still going to have to... Yeah, so that wouldn't even matter. That would allow you to have 6 cards in villain form, but if you're in Alter Ego, you have 6, and then if you have Project Symbiote or Project Rebirth, you exhaust it to draw a card. So you can have 7 cards by going into Venom, and this is assuming you have his pistols, his multi-gun, and then the sonic rifle fully charged. You're going to want probably 2 scare tactics. You could, if you really wanted it, you could actually, because you can only have 1 side holster, which, okay, I guess. If you were really popping off, let's say you had 3 resourcefuls out. Once again, this is all if you happen to have the best setup. Let's see. There's some running guns. Yeah, max 1 per player. There's another scare tactics of 3 scare tactics. Wow. Yeah, Project Rebirth is out, and that lets you draw a card. So your hand, I think, to do the most damage, realistically, you would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think 6, 6, 7. Let's say, yeah, the running guns are going to be nice, but there's no way you'd be able to play all of them without doing some damage. So if we swapped out a scare tactic with a genius, 2 running guns, that should work. Nope, because you're gonna have to pay for them, because those are all events. I think, yeah, I think you can only realistically probably have 1 running gun. Okay. To then have something to pay for, some bullshit card. Yeah, so these would be the 7 cards that I can look at right now. So on your turn, you're attacking. You attack with Venom, and then you pop his 2 pistols. So that'll be 4 damage. You exhaust your multi-gun to deal 2 more. And once again, this is all versatile. So if there's a lot of minions out, then he can do some damage, but all at once. So that's 6 damage already. So let's say that you already confused the enemy. You previously played a card that allows you to confuse them. So your sonic rifle has 2 charges. You use that, you deal 3 damage, so you're at 9 damage. You play Genius to do Savage Attack. So you play Genius to do a Savage Attack. So that's another 5, so that would be 14 damage. You would then, let's see, take a damage to play Scare Tactics, so that deals another 3, so you're at 17 damage. You probably would then have to play these 2 just to play another Savage Attack. That would deal another 5 damage, so what was I? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 14, 15, 16, 17 damage plus another 5, so that's 22 damage. Then you spend all 3 of these resourcefuls to do another running gun, so that readies Venom and every weapon he controls. So 22 damage is where you're at right now. You attack again with Venom's pistols, which adds another 4, so 26. Then you do multi-gun to do another 2, so 28. And then the sonic rifle, which would use up all its charges, would be 31 points of damage. Not bad. It's like, that's still a pretty good amount, but I feel like out of everyone, whenever I do this, max damage out of their pre-built deck, it's like, I feel like it's a little bit easier. Like, it's more plausible that you might have a hand like this. His is like, yeah, you'd have to basically go through your whole deck and then aim for this, which is, there's no reason to. There's no enemy that would need, 30 damage is good if you're playing with 4 people. That would be a huge chunk, but once again, you just have this huge setup. I don't know. I don't like so much the reliability of, specific cards and not a whole lot of ways to actually draw. Now, if he had more of the locked and loaded that ensured that you were getting his weapons, I would like that. And if his weapons were actually cooler, I don't know. They're useful. They're versatile, and that's pretty much it. So on a scale of 1 to, and here's the other thing, is because you have another champion, which is Rocket, that utilizes weapons and searching for them. Like, he has ways to search for his weapons. He has ways to reuse them. He has better weapons, I think. I'd much rather play with Rocket if I want the gun-toting, maniac. So on a scale of 1 to 10, Venom is honestly one of the worst ones that I've played recently. And I don't know if that's because they went with Flash Thompson, or I don't know. So let's see. Who do I like? The question is, do I like Hawkeye more than him? And I think I do. I think I do like Hawkeye more than him. So I think I'm going to give Venom a 5. Like, he's an average 1, which is still pretty good. I don't think I've given a single champion less than a 5, but he might be the lowest. So, yeah, Venom is a 5 out of 10. Let me know what you think of him in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.